Okay, so this week we're going to talk about music videos, and I'm not going to do it as a hello a child. Oh, sorry, I've never. I think you're the first child to go to one of these. Nice to see you.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Is it a problem?
Not at all. No. I was just checking that we're going to watch like 4 music videos, and it wasn't until you said, "Is it a problem?" I didn't even think. Like, music videos, I think they're okay. But you be the judge. Just shout stop if it gets too much, but they're fine, I think. So yeah, what do you guys think a music video is? Like what is it? Why do people make music videos? What's the point?
To promote the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To visualize the meaning of the music?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And anything. There's now no set rule. When they first started out, the first and this was before they were called music videos, but the first kind of thing that was taken as being a music video was a song by Bob Dylan called Subterranean, Homesick Blues. And we're going to watch that first, and it's one continuous shot, and it's something that's kind of disappeared for many years, and now it's come back into fashion in the form of lyric videos, with which graphic artists love to make. But we're not going to watch any of those because I find them quite dull. But the point of Bob Dylan's video was that he was in such great demand. Everybody wanted Bob Dylan on their show, and it was actually really expensive to record videotape at the time or play film in a high enough quality across television. So what they did was they made this one little clip, and then they said anywhere that Bob Dylan can't be, send them the film. And then it was so popular they ended up playing it in movie theatres before movies. And that also became a thing with people like the Beach Boys. They would make little mini, and they were really bad. They're kind of, they're incredibly surreal and don't make any sense. They have no narrative at all, but it's the Beach Boys just running around doing stuff. They're really bizarre and they're hard to find now. But I'll put this one on first. Any thoughts on that? Any initial impressions? So they didn't know what they were doing. They'd never seen a music video. They had no idea. And someone just said, you know what, your lyrics are the best thing about the song. It's musically not that interesting. We don't have any money. We're here now. Here's a cool alleyway. It's independent filmmaking with one of the biggest stars at the time on earth. So it was like, how about we just write all the lyrics down on cards and do this? And it's so simple, but he looks so stark and quite cool the way he's dressed. It just thought, hey man, it just automatically works. And I think the fact that they've put so little thought into it, and what they've tried to push forward isn't an image or a message, it's just the lyrics themselves. Technically, the thing I love about it is it's a one-shot video, and personally that's something that I always loved, where beginning to end you don't cut the camera at all, it's just one performance. And how much can you do with that concept? No editing, we're just going to get it all in one go. The next video is by Wax. It's a band called California. I don't know anything about the band, I'm not that interested in the music. But the video was made by a guy called Spike Jonze. Does anybody know him? Yeah? So Spike Jonze had a really interesting career. He started off making skateboarding videos and things like that, and ended up hanging out with some of the guys from Jackass, but before they started making Jackass. And he wanted to be a serious filmmaker, but he loved the idea of making these really dumb Jackass-esque videos. So he did that for a long time, and ended up though going full circle after Jackass because he made lots of money and he was able to do what he wanted. And I think his first feature film was Being John Malkovich. He might have done something before that, but I think that was the first. And since then, he's only done kind of fairly big movies every couple of years. So when I was studying, what I looked at was whether or not music video making could be a gateway to just learning more about film and learning more about the professional way the industry actually works. Because just getting access to a production company that has access to big bands that have access to money is a real minefield to get through. But this next video is one of, it's not his first ones, because his first ones aren't so interesting. It's just guys skateboarding a lot. And it's really, really bad techno music, a lot of it. Sorry if you like bad techno music. War in Europe, but yeah. But this was his, I think, one of his best ones. It's, I'll not say anything else, I'll just play it and we can talk about it after. What did you think of that one compared to the first?
Very cool.
It's much more complex anyway.
It is, isn't it? There's way more going on, but it's a man running down the street in slow motion. They've put a fire suit on him and set him on fire. You know, like how many different things do you need to actually do that? You need a stuntman or a crazy friend.
Second one's more easy.
Yeah, you need a crazy friend or someone desperate to be famous. Even easier. You need someone standing by with a fire extinguisher. Someone who knows how to set it on fire and make the flames be visible on camera. And that's pretty much it. They didn't ask permission to do that. The bus, they hadn't set any of that up. Some of the people standing in the street looking bored, that's the band. Apparently, I don't know this band at all, but the people in the street are the band. And the little girl is a friend of a friend's child. So yeah, it's...
How easy can be?
There's not many more elements than... It's like a little bit by bit. There's a few more things there compared to the first one. But just a cool looking street, a guy who can do something cool. He's not quite Bob Dylan, but he's on fire. It's close. And a great concept. And that's all they needed. So then the next one is by one of my other favourite music video makers. I love his music videos. I'm not a huge fan of his movies, but they're incredibly watchable. It's a guy called Gundry. So he's worked a lot with Bjork and the Foo Fighters and the White Stripes. You can tell when I was born, can't you? Like when I was into it, it's all like kind of early 2000s, like 90s, 2000s. But yeah, so this one is this is like a big jump. So everything else I could have showed that I'm not going to, things like Michael Jackson's big production videos, those are more in the realm of film to me, because then you need a huge set, a huge crew, a lot of people, and it becomes more like a mini movie than what I feel a music video should be like. It should be an independent film, even if it's still a kind of advertisement for the song and a marketing tool, which you can never forget. That's what it is. The song always comes first. You know, whenever develops a concept for a music video and then writes a song, so it's always got to be done in that order. But I kind of question these days how much of that actually happens when I see hip-hop videos and soul videos. I think are these kind of people that want to be movie stars, but unfortunately they're making music. And with some movie stars, you could say that's true as well. You know, they have ambitions to be musicians. So this next one is a way more complex, but it's still a fairly simple concept. But it's incredibly beautiful as well. What did that remind anybody of? Any movies?
I
Avatar.
iRobot?
Avatar.
Yeah?
Or the Ex Machinima or something.
Ex Machinima?
Yeah.
What about the opening titles of Westworld?
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah,
Anyone seen that?
yeah.
Because I think the first thing when I saw the opening titles to Westworld was that like Bjork wants to sue. Like it is so close to that music video, the entire first season's opening credits. It's way too close not to be kind of a direct rip-off. But it's actually the technique that they invented for it. He was already playing around with it. So he was playing around with trying to make, like film the front end of a dog and then film the back end of an animatronic dog, just like a robot skeleton, and then blend the two together on film. And have it walking around. And some of his friends who were some of the early CGI guys, a guy called Chris Cunningham, who wasn't as prolific afterwards. He kind of dropped off the map, but he did make kind of about 10 great music videos together with people like a.P.A.t.T. But he developed a technique to map the face onto the robot. So what they did was they just filmed the two robots kind of going like touching each other, and then mapped the face afterwards. But this was like, the way it was done at the time was incredibly revolutionary, so that to the point where you were kind of which bit's done on computer and which bit's a practical effect. And it's seen as like one of the most influential bits of video art that's ever been, because you can see everything that came afterwards kind of looked a bit like that Bjork video.
Yeah.
Like no one could remember the name of the song or the or even who it was by, especially in America. They just loved the video. The next one I'm going to show you is just, it's kind of high production value with like a DIY ethos. So you can see that they've had a lot of people helping them, and it's really well made. Has anyone seen OK Go videos before? Just one? Okay. Then you're in for a bit of a treat. It's a lot of fun. Do you remember, did anyone have that game Mousetrap when they were kids? Yeah.
But also look that they probably didn't have so many time to do it over like once.
Yeah.
So-
Timing would be.
The special thing that I wanted to say about that video was, so I didn't want to kind of play you video after video. I didn't want to show you like 10 videos, because the reason I loved making music videos when I was at university was, one, you didn't have to worry about sound.
Because you put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could either just play it and have people dance and sing it to the music, but you were always getting really good high quality sound that a band had spent ages working on in a studio. Or you could just go and film anything you wanted and then cut it to the beat afterwards. You could speed it up, you could slow it down. As long as it looks good, you've done it. As long as it looks cool, as long as you make something, there doesn't have to be a story, doesn't have to be narrative, can just be pretty pictures, can be a stunt. And that's it, you've hit the mark. As long as like people just go, yeah, that was good. And it's only 3 minutes. You can't, you can make one in a day, you can make one in a morning. Like you can't go too far wrong. As long as it's good. And because you're shooting so little material, if you do mess up, you can just throw it all away and do something else. And they're really disposable. The biggest music video I ever worked on was for a band called The Killers, and it was directed by Tim Burton. So I didn't want to show that one because it's not that good. I was only the editor's assistant, by the way. I didn't have any like kind of hired role. I didn't meet The Killers and I didn't meet Tim Burton. I was in a crummy little office in Soho in London. and his concept for that was to kind of make a CGI version of the skeletons from Jason and the Argonauts, and that was it. And it didn't like fit very well with the song, but it kind of fit with what people use music, what great filmmakers use music videos for. It's like they've got this technique, they've got something that they want to try. So, like OK Go said, like how about we've seen lots of one-shot videos. We've seen Bob Dylan's, then we've seen the Spike Jonze one, where he filmed something very fast and then slowed it down. How far can we push that? Can we film something incredibly fast, 4.2 seconds, and then slow it down to a matter of minutes? And how much can we do in that 4.2 seconds to actually make it interesting? So, and that's what I became obsessed with, taking one little concept and seeing how far you could push it. Another interesting thing about that last video, it wasn't financed by the record company. It was partly financed by the band. They got the rest of the money from Sony.
It was a charity, wasn't it?
It was for charity, and that's how the band justified taking loads of money from Sony by giving up, because that's like the worst thing you can do as a band, take huge corporate sponsorship to make a music video. And why are Sony sponsoring them? Because they want to show how good their cameras are. Sony had a new 4K super fast camera that they wanted to show off, and they'd seen OK Go's music videos, and they said, we'll finance and pay for like whatever concept you've got for your next video if we can use it for an advert. And
I don't understand why you said that the bands, they don't want to get funded by any company.
You're right, that was totally wrong. The ones that aren't like sellouts, the ones that still have some artistic credibility, they don't want to be seen to be selling themselves so they don't want to do a Pepsi advert.
Yeah.
Like other people do. For other people, that's like a badge of honor, like being a musician but being sponsored by Nike, like being a rapper but being sponsored by Adidas. That's like a cool thing. Like being a beautiful female singer and you automatically get to sell shampoo, perfume, makeup, whatever you want. Other bands are kind of like, no. They're like, well, we're musicians, we just need music, we don't want to be corporate sellouts. And that's what OK Go said. So the only way they could justify, they wanted to make the video though. They wanted to make the video, and they needed loads of money and loads of people to come and help them make that. So the only way they could justify taking the money from Sony, and Sony would only do it if they were allowed to use it as an advert, the only way they could justify it was if they gave any money they had made to charity, and then they can say, you know, we just wanted to make a great piece of art, and we're not profiting from it. But yeah. That's all I've got for you.
Then you want to show us some of yours? Didn't you have one with corridors you wanted to show
I could
us?
do. I'll show you that. Just to finish off. So this was the one I made. It wasn't the first and it wasn't the last.
And what did you filmed it, or?
I don't think I was the cameraman. I think I directed it and edited it, from what I remember. The camera woman she was fantastic. She went on to work on, she moved to Canada after she lived in Stavanger. There was a time in Stavanger about 10 years ago where they did make a few movies and a few TV shows, and a lot of people who would come out of film school or moved here from other places actually got work, and then it quickly dried up, like there was suddenly nothing to do.
Tausena.
Yeah.
Very
yeah,
cool.
I could imagine that it was done.
Yeah. So
I just have one question. I mean, I'm surprised that with the name of that band that you didn't make anything darker than that.
yeah.
You know the story of Poor Dead One, right?
Yeah, it's a funny couple, because I think they took it from the Tom Waits song.
Yeah.
I think that's where they got the title from. But I don't know if they've ever listened to the song, or kind of, because when you listen to their music, it's not kind of,
It's uplifting more.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind
more
of,
like it's.
because I was really kind of excited when I heard about this band, and they were like, were inspired by like Tom Waits and kind of dark American Gothic music and this, that and the other. And then I turned up to see them and I thought it's like a kind of Coldplay or something.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't what they like sell themselves as. But the idea for the video, there was no kind of idea behind it at all. It was more, I wanted to do like a fake continuous shot, so as if it was never ever cutting. So what I wanted to do at first was I found all these big holes at Towseen. I think there was 5 of them in a row, and I wanted to go back and forward, doing different things. And I wanted to set one up as maybe like a domestic scene, one up people playing tennis or something, just different things happening in each one, and the camera going back and forward continuously. But I couldn't find enough volunteers. I didn't have any friends. I'd been in Stavanger for like a week, and like I had like this French girl I knew, a Canadian guy that I knew because I'd worked on a TV show with them, and I knew this band. So like that's all I had. And then when we got to Towseen on the day, 4 of the 5 holes had suddenly been used as storage.
Yeah.
So one of them was like full of chairs, one of them was full of tables, one of them was full of like bicycles and stuff, just trash. So we only had one that was empty. So what I realised that you could do was, if we got to like a proper set of tracks and a really heavy tripod, and we just rolled the camera back, and we turned off all the lights, so it was completely dark other than down in the hallway. And then I thought, like, if we try and keep it at a constant speed, and we don't stop the camera until it goes complete to black, I can just edit that, so that it looks like you're constantly moving down a corridor. And then we got bored while we were making it, and we ended up like breaking this rule of like constantly keeping the camera the same, and we would zoom in a bit, zoom out a bit, and do other things. And then we threw it together. The last one I'll play you. Yeah, the last one I'll play you. This is a band called a.P.A.t.T from Liverpool, and they've been touring for about 20 years, and they only play kind of arts festivals and in galleries, and they do lots of kind of interactive stuff with the audience. So they did a concept where there was different buttons, there was different areas. The audience was sectioned up into different areas, and they would only let about 30 people in at a time. And depending on where the most people were, they would speed up and change the sequence of notes that they were playing. And things like that. And they use a lot of technology to produce their music as well. So I made this video from them, and I'd shot it was kind of a 40-minute version of a reading of the first part of Dostoevsky's book, The Notes from the Underground. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it. It's a bit of darkness for you. But the first part of it is kind of like his manifesto, and we filmed it, and then it was incredibly boring to actually watch for 30 or 40 minutes. So me and the guy who was reading it and the sound guy went out one day in London and tried to film some stuff that could just be cutaways. So we weren't looking for audio, we were just filming, doing different stuff. And I loved some of that footage, especially when it was put into this really harsh black and white. And then I heard this song, and I just phoned them up and I said, I've got some great footage from shot around London. I want to cut it into a music video for you. So I'd already shot the footage for something else, and they didn't use most of it. And then I heard this song, and I knew the guys, and so that's how this one came about. The ending is a treat. This is probably the proudest thing I've ever filmed and edited. The very end, it's that's it. That's all I've got for you.
Great, thanks.